What's up everyone, Sam the Ashen here, and today we're going to be playing some Project Zomboid. This video is part 2 of my first playthrough. Part 1 is linked in the description down below if you want to check that out. With that out of the way, let's get straight into the action. I hope you guys enjoy. When we left off last week, we were trying to fortify our firehouse base some, so that is where we are picking off today. I was working on getting this sealed off to the second floor so that I couldn't be crept up on zombies. So I cut down some trees, gathered the logs, and then this happened. My first encounter with the helicopter. Boy, was I freaked out. I had no idea what to do, so I paused the game and did a quick Google search to see if I could find any help. Turns out, there's not much you can do about it besides hide inside, so that's what I did. I loaded up some weapons and got some armor on in case the zombies made it inside. So I'm just going to let the next part play out and let you guys watch. I was with Nova for a while, so this hurt pretty bad. But with no other recourse other than starting a brand new game, I decided to make a new character into the world I already had, since I already had stockpiles of some decent food and supplies. So Nova was gone, and our new character Sparrow had spawned at the police station. I decided that Sparrow was going to be sort of a sacrifice, so I put all the stuff I'd gathered with her into a crate and did my best to lead the zombies away from the fire department. Seeing as the zombies were led pretty far away, and Sparrow was unharmed, I decided she deserved a fighting chance. So instead of sacrificing her, I booked it through the woods, and then cut back out the woods hoping that I lost the zombies, and it seemed like I did. So I headed back to the fire station and cleaned up any stragglers that were left behind. One thing was still bothering me though. I wanted to find Nova's body so I could retrieve my gear and put her to rest. So I went out searching, but I turned up empty-handed, so after a while I headed on back home. I made my way back to the police station where I had stashed some starting supplies that Sparrow had gathered together, so I finished off the zombies up there and grabbed what I could. I accidentally got Sparrow into a pretty rough situation down the street with a pretty good sized horde following her, so I looped them around in a circle and kited them until I was able to kill all of them. I decided to work my way up to the gas station to the top of town so that I could stock up on gas before the power was cut out. There wasn't too many zombies, but there was enough of them to pose a little bit of a tricky situation if I didn't take them out. So I did my best to take out small groups and get rid of them before they could sneak up behind me and end this character too. I made my way down the street and searched some garages for empty gas cans so I could stock up on more gas. Luckily for me, I found a dart with keys in it and a little bit of gas, so I was able to get that and drive it up to the nearby gas station so that I could go ahead and top it off before the gas gets shut off. The only problem was there was a solid amount of zombies following me, so again, I just kited them around until all of them were dead. I finished off the stragglers and filled up the dart. After the dart was topped off, I went ahead and headed back to the fire department. I hadn't gotten a lot of practice driving in, so I might have crashed a few times, but the car still ran. So I emptied out everything and put it back in my base, got my empty gas cans, and headed back up to the gas station to refuel those. I started to explore around, and I looked at a map online that showed some warehouses down the road. I was hoping to get a sledgehammer at one of these warehouses. After finding the warehouses, I parked my car down the street some, took out the zombies that had noticed me, and headed for the warehouses. There were some zombies around there too, so I went ahead and took them out. After getting into the warehouse, I was pretty disappointed to find out that there was just a bunch of rotten food. Nothing that I was looking for. Not anything except for rotting food. And to my knowledge, there's nothing I can do with rotting food. And on top of that, there was just a big empty warehouse. Anyways, gave up on that, went down the street to what looked like military barracks, and saw a loot chest. Unfortunately, there was nothing inside, so I left, headed back home, and put up everything that I've gotten. I decided to work on some carpentry so that I could put some shelves up to add some storage space to my house. I made my way back up to the gas station to go ahead and top off the dart, only to find out that the power had been shut off and I was no longer able to use the gas pumps without a generator. I stopped at the local bookstore on my way home so I could pick up some training books and try to get my levels up. I went home and messed around with the idea of how to fortify the base, whether I wanted to knock out the stairs or try to knock out the floors and bring a rope down from there, which I read online that you could do. So I'm kind of just figuring it out at this point, trying different things. I was lucky enough to find a generator, so I brought it back up to the gas station and placed it down there so it was ready for use in the future. I decided to do some exploring around town to see if I could find anything really useful. I was honestly looking for warehouses in case I could get lucky and find a sledgehammer. No such luck had happened so far. Then, I drove up on this road with a bunch of zombies at it and was able to spot a sledgehammer over in the driveway. So I did my best to beat my horn as loud as I could and lead the zombies away from there so that I could jump out and grab it, and I did. I decided to drive down the road some and explore some more, and I came across a four-way intersection, and there was a town on my map nearby, so I stopped off at the town by the first few shops and cleared out some zombies that were around. Wanted to see what was inside the buildings, and there was also a parking lot with some cars nearby that I could check for parts and gas. It was getting late, and there was no houses nearby, so I parked my car against another car and went to bed for the night, and woke up safe. Came across a police station, and there wasn't too many zombies around it, so I took them out and made my way inside to the loot room, and was able to find a shotgun and a lot of ammo, which was really good. Waking up to fight another day, I decided to search the area to see if I could find anything interesting. And eventually I did find something interesting. A work fan that was in pretty good shape. I was able to get the key and load it up and take it out to the main highway where my other car was parked. Parked him up here because it seemed like I'd be able to make a pretty easy getaway if I was too overwhelmed with zombies. I scrounged around some more and was able to find a double-barrel shotgun in one of the houses, and it was getting pretty late, so I decided to just sleep the night there. I was getting a little sore from sleeping in the car every night. I had a few close calls. Like right here, I almost got cut off from any escape route, but escaped. And again here. I did not realize zombies were coming in from so many angles. Luckily, I was able to get out the front. I didn't notice it at the time, but a group of zombies seemed like they had taken notice to me, so I figured I would do my best to take them out. Unfortunately, I was attacked, and they got me. Luckily for me, it was not a bite wound. It was just a scratch. And as you'll see here, I was not infected, so I got really lucky. I continued to take out the horde by kiting them around in a circle, and eventually there were so many of them, I decided it was pretty much worth it to get the shotgun out and maybe get some points in my aiming skill. So again, I kited them around and shot them with the shotgun. At the time, I had assumed that this was probably all the zombies in the area, so shooting my gun wouldn't make too much of a difference. Pretty sure I was wrong, because then they started coming out of the woodworks from all angles. So I hopped in my van and drove down the street, decided I would make a stand here. I kited them around, grabbed some more ammo out of the trunk, and took out as many as I could. I led them away from my van, up the street some, to try to get them away from where I wanted to loot at in the future. I would go forward some, turn around, take aim, and try to shoot some. It seemed to be working pretty well, but what I didn't know at the time is that some of the zombies had actually stayed back. So yeah, I was killing some zombies, but I wasn't killing all of them. So I got sloppy here and was almost bitten, it looked like, but I was able to push the zombie away. So after that close call, I brought out the spear to get some more range, took out the zombies that were still following me, and went to head on back to town. Took out those stragglers on the way back, and there wasn't actually too many. Made it back to my van safe somehow. If you can't tell, it was getting pretty late in real life at the time of this recording. I mean, I was in a house with only one zombie and this happens. Luckily, I wasn't bitten or scratched or hurt. I got really lucky. My exertion was so high that I was barely doing any damage to the zombie, so I just stayed in this house for the night and decided to sleep here. I took some vitamins to cut down my fatigue so that I could wake up earlier. After that, I headed to the gas station and looted some really good food and pop from the gas station. But what I was really after was a Lane's vehicle magazine so I could work on my car, and super lucky for me, I found it and read it right away. To be clear, I did not know which one I was looking for, but it said basic mechanics, so I figured it would do the job. I went to the storage units to see what I could find in here. There was actually quite a few zombies here, so I took out the ones that I could, but my baseball bat was getting pretty low on durability. Lucky for me, I found a shovel and was able to kind of replace the bat with that. I really like the shovel. I like it more than the baseball bat. So on my way back to the van, there was another pretty good sized zombie horde, and I was able to take them out much easier than before because I was pretty well rested and I had the shovel. Finished off the rest of the zombies that I could and drove down the street some to see what else I could find. I was actually lucky enough to find a auto shop, which I used to grab some spare parts for any cars or vehicles that I had, which was the Dart and the van, but I also grabbed anything that looked useful or that might be useful in the future. I went back to the storage units right down the road, which was different than before, and this time I had my sledgehammer with me. So I was able to break inside, and was able to get some pretty good loot. Got a few good weapons, and a lot of good supplies. And then, due to it being dark and my carelessness, I was bitten. My character was infected. I had worked pretty hard on this character and gotten farther than I had with Nova, so this hurt pretty bad. I paused the game while I figured out what to do next. I turned around to kill the two zombies that were ultimately responsible for my character's death, and took a long, sad walk in the rain back to the van. How dramatic, right? It was time to quit sulking, so I decided to prepare for the next character that would inhabit this world. I looked at some annotated maps because it seemed like I still had some time before I was going to die, maybe because I was bitten on the hand. Went down the road to this place, got some decent supplies, nothing great, but then I noticed there was a second location on the map, so I decided I would go check that out while I still was able to. Upon getting closer, there were some woods blocking my path, so I know it was a big risk to walk blindly through the woods, but I was already infected, so it didn't matter too much. So I made my way around the side to where I broke a window and climbed in. Searched some desks nearby, everything in this room, and then I went into the next room where, oh my god, was it full of really good hardware supplies and a lot of great weapons. Now, I'm a newbie, so I don't really know what great weapons are, but man, I was really happy. I had found the garden fork, which I had once before, and it's been my favorite weapon so far, and a couple machetes. So I would be pretty stacked on melee weapons for quite a while for my new character. I stashed my extra goods in a building nearby, so that when my new character spawned in, they would be able to grab it easily. I put the rest into the van for safekeeping. I decided I would try to lure some zombies away out of the town while I still had some time left, which took me quite a while. I probably did this for a good 20 minutes, maybe more, and there was a sizable horde following me, but it almost felt like it wasn't worth it. So I turned back around, went back to the city, and I was able to get a lot of zombies out, and slept through the night, and woke up still alive, luckily. So I decided to head back home, go ahead and put this carload of stuff up. That way my character would have an easier time, and I could just spawn in the town I was in previously, and only have to make one extra trip. This ride home was pretty bittersweet. I had a nice carload full of supplies and another van load back at the other place, but I was also ultimately a Walking Dead girl. So, yeah, it was bittersweet. I still, for some reason, wasn't that great at driving, so on my way back, I kind of crashed into a telephone pole. Not very smooth. And then I did it again trying to back up. But the car was still running, so I guess it wasn't that huge of a deal. Made it back to the fire station, put up all the supplies that I had brought with me, and debated on what to do next, where to hide my character. My health wasn't going down fast enough, so I decided to jump out the window a few times. It was only one story up, so it didn't do that much damage, but I was getting tired of waiting and I wanted to get my new character started. After that, I did a bunch of burpees on the ground thinking that would speed up the process, but it didn't really speed it up that much. I decided the first floor washroom would be the place where my character would die. So I picked up the table that was in there and placed it towards the front of the door so that my zombified corpse couldn't escape so easily. The process was still taking a little too long, so I found some bleach in the cupboard and decided that would probably do the trick. And yeah, I was right. And that was that. My character was dead. Well, undead. That was it for Sparrow. She did really well in my opinion. Over 1,400 kills. My next character I decided would be Daryl from a certain zombie show I'm sure you guys might know about. Maybe the only good character left. Anyways, I decided to be him. Picked up the smoker trait because, yeah, it's lore friendly. And I had a ton of cigarettes back home, so I spawned in Myrledal, or however you say it, and made my way back up to the place where I had parked my van. There wasn't too many zombies. They were pretty easily evaded. So I made my way up the street to the van, went to get the keys out of the back, but the zombies were too close on my tail. So I took out a few and decided to loop back around. I was able to get the keys, so I hopped in the van and was lucky enough that it started the first time and headed back on home to Rosewood. It's a little bit tricky getting through this intersection, but I was able to do it without crashing. I decided this time I would be more careful driving because I was not trying to wreck this new van. I made it back into Rosewood City, parked at the fire station, put up all the stuff I had gathered, and equipped Daryl with the gear that Sparrow had previously put up for him. And then I saw her in the washroom. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to disable the table, so I had to wait till she broke through. Then I got her on the ground and thought, man, I wish there was a way to keep her, like in Shaun of the Dead or something. Couldn't figure it out though, so I ended up having to kill her. Got all the stuff that was left on her body and put on the diamond ring that was on her finger to keep Sparrow's memory alive. My next two goals for Daryl was to fortify the fire station and to go through the annotated maps that I had gotten to see if I could find any more really good loot spots like I had in the previous town. Only this time, with Daryl, I would be much more careful. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. It has certainly been a roller coaster ride for me, but I am loving every minute of it. Project Zomboid is awesome. I am still finding new mechanics and new aspects about the game just about every time I play. So if you guys enjoyed the video, a like really helps me out, comments really help me out, and if you want to see more, you can subscribe to the channel for free. That helps out a ton. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good one.